NFL football is back today. We are here to talk about opening week in the NFL, also the future of HBCU football. All of that today and more after the bumper. What's good people? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. We're going to be coming to you live every weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. I think that's the sweet spot time. That's the time I seem to get the most engagement. That seems to be the time that the people like the most. And that's what time we're going to be coming to you, 10 a.m. Eastern every morning. So today we have a full slate, but we're mainly going to be talking about the return of the NFL and the future of HBCU football. There are two coaches that I believe is doing a lot of work, a lot of groundwork, along with all the other coaches in the HBCU, but two coaches I think that are making a lot of headway and that will show you, and that is actually showing us, the future of HBCU football in real time. And that we're going to talk about that. And that is head coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime over there at Jackson State, and Eddie George at Tennessee State University. But before we get to the HBCU talk, we are going to talk the NFL. Like I said, the NFL returns today with the premier headlining matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Tampa Bay, the defending Super Bowl champions, the home of the GOAT, Tom Brady. Tampa Bay, the team that when the last time we saw Tampa Bay, they were beating the brakes off the Kansas City Chiefs. The last time we saw Tampa Bay, they were celebrating a Super Bowl win. The last time we saw Tampa Bay, they were re-signing every single one of their starters, whether it was via the franchise tag, short-term deals, long-term deals, restructuring of contracts, everything that could go right for Tampa Bay this offseason and throughout the end of last season went right for the Buccaneers. So they're going to be an amazing team this year. They're going against a Cowboys team with, what can go wrong usually does go wrong. Everything went wrong for the Cowboys last year. They lost their starting quarterback to a broken ankle. Then coming into this season on Hard Knocks, we saw Dak dealt with still more injuries. Guys were retired. Their best offensive lineman, Zach Martin, now has COVID. But they did get Zeke back. He's restructured his deal. They did sign Dak to a long-term deal. So Dak is going to be the quarterback of the future for the Dallas Cowboys. And everything looks like it's on an upward trajectory. But it's going to be rough. It is going to be rough. Not to mention they brought in Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator to lead that defensive unit, which was one of the worst in the history of the NFL last year. So they brought in Dan Quinn to try to shore up some of that defense. They drafted Micah Parsons, who I believe was the best defensive player in college, was the best defensive player in the draft. So I think that was key additions to their team. But it's going to be interesting to watch how this team is able to, shape and shift and mold throughout the season this year. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be a team to watch. Just not this week. Just not this week in this game, because Tampa Bay is going to be they had the ring ceremony. They're going to be, their first game since the Super Bowl. They're going to be hyped. They're going to be amped up. They have all their starters back, and they are coming out on a mission. Tom Brady, it was recently revealed that some years ago when Brady was playing for the Patriots, he was speaking with Damian, not Danny Amendola. What's the guy that plays like him? Julian Edelman. He was speaking to his former teammate, Julian Edelman, right? And when Brady had won his fourth Super Bowl, I want to say, and Brady was like, I was never shooting when it comes to winning championships. Joe Montana has 4 championships. He was widely considered the GOAT before Brady just went crazy, right? Over the last 5 to 10 years. He said, I was never gunning for Joe Montana. I'm gunning for MJ. And what he meant by that was, I'm not trying to win 4 championships. 4 championships was never my goal. My goal was to win 6 championships. And now he has 7 championships. And now he's age 44. And now he's with one of the most talented rosters he's ever played with. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster is supremely talented. I think the only roster that was probably more talented than this one was the undefeated team back with the New England Patriots, of course, that lost in the Super Bowl to the New York Giants. This team, during a COVID year, with the new quarterback, essentially implementing some parts of a new system, were still able to what? Win a Super Bowl. They were still able to make it happen, win a Super Bowl, and that is what led them to honestly to shock everyone. Still able to make it happen. To shock everyone during that time, during last year, during the run for the Super Bowl. It was unbelievable. And now they're bringing everybody back, and they opening their season against Dak Prescott, who hasn't played in a year, who didn't play any in preseason, who just got paid, but who still may be battling injuries. His leg is probably 100% healthy, but he's going to have the shakes a little bit. Because when you injure your leg and you're a quarterback, it's a psychological game. And not to mention, he ends up messing up his shoulder. Dak's shoulder's messed up. It was so bad that he had to see specialists for baseball teams. The New York Yankees and the Texas Rangers. He went and saw specialists to evaluate his shoulder. That is going to be something to watch. Something else that came out of Brady, because Brady tells all these great stories, right? Because he's essentially seen everything that the game of football has to offer. And be sure to hit the thumbs up button, by the way. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. So he talked about how the number rule is something it's going to take some time to adjust for him. Right? So, for example, they play the Dallas Cowboys first game of the season tonight, Thursday Night Football. The Cowboys have linebackers. And for the history of football, at least for as long as I can remember, in the NFL, linebackers had to wear certain numbers. So from the 40s through the 50s is what your linebackers had to wear, because that was just how the NFL worked. So you could be number 45 as a linebacker. You could be number 52. Obviously, Ray Lewis made that famous. 55, 56, 50, you know what I mean? Like in the 50s, 50, like that was like the linebacker number. Well, now the NFL has made it to where linebackers, or almost any position for that matter, can wear single digit numbers, can wear different kind of numbers, kind of how it looks in college, right? You have the big, strong linebacker in like number 5 or something in college or whatever. And Brady's is saying like, yo, that's different. I've been doing things a certain way for 20 years, right? 22 years or whatever. And now having to adjust to that is going to take some time. And he went as far as to say that it actually gives Dallas an advantage because 2 of their linebackers, or maybe 3 of their linebackers, all have like numbers they weren't allowed to wear as recently as last year. Micah Parsons wears number 11. Jalen Smith wears number 9. And so Brady's like, yo, like, and when I'm reading the defense and scanning who's the Mike, who's the Willie, who's the Sam, it's different now because they have these single digit linebackers. And that's something that sounds like so mundane and so miniature, but I'm interested to see if that plays any factor at all tonight. I mean, maybe he's just joshing us. Maybe he's just, yanking my chain, but I will be interested to see if Brady makes any early mistakes because of the numbering of the linebackers for the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be interesting to watch. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. So I titled this for some of these, the future of HBCU football, because I am super, super excited to watch this weekend the Tennessee State versus a Jackson State game. Coach Prime Deion Sanders versus head coach Eddie George at Tennessee State. And I believe this is what the future of HBCU football will look like. And what I mean by that is not that every HBCU football head coach will be a former NFL player, a potential Hall of Famer, in Deion Sanders' case, a Hall of Famer, a college football Hall of Famer. I don't think that will be the case for every single HBCU. But the reason why I say this is what the future of college football or HBCU football looks like is because of the national recognition that is being paid attention to this game in particular, and to a couple of games last week. Eddie George and the Tennessee State Tigers played Grambling in the Black College Football Hall of Fame game. That garnered a lot of national attention. But the biggest game of last week, or one of the biggest games in college football period last week, was FAMU versus Jackson State. It was played on ESPN2, and it had a higher rating It had almost 1 million viewers for that one game, which was a higher rating than the primetime game of a Pac-12 versus Big Ten matchup, or Pac-12 versus Big 12 matchup. They like doubled the viewership. They doubled the viewership on a Sunday at 3 o'clock versus the game that was played at the same that was played on the same network on a prime time at 7 on Saturday. That's what I mean by this is what the future of HBCU looks like. I also want to show you this clip that that is like only Prime can do this. Now, not every, even if you're a former professional football player, even if you're a former even if you're a Hall of Fame professional football player, you can't be, nobody else is going to be Deion Sanders. Nobody else is going to be Coach Prime. But this is why he is important to the HBCU football landscape. Listen to this video. I'm going to show you this video and share my screen. And we're going to go to his Instagram page. And this is a video he put up this morning.
Hey, what's going on? It's Coach Prime. About to have a great day of practice. Then we get on the road. We headed to Memphis. I need 3 things from you. First of all, I need a cut. I need somebody that's going to direct me to the right place in Memphis to get me a cut. I need some soul food that kind of makes me sleepy, not weepy. And I need to know where the dog's at tonight. No, not tonight. Tomorrow night. I need to know where the dog's at tomorrow night because I'm going to go recruit and watch some good high school football. And I'm offering at least 2-3 kids scholarships on the spot. If you ball, you're going to get the call on the spot. That's how we get down, baby. D.I. love JSU.
So in the amount of time, so this post has been up at this moment, has been up an hour. It's got 75,000 views. Imagine how many of those views are high school football players in the city of Memphis. By the way, this game is being played in Memphis. It's called the Southern Heritage Classic between Jackson State and Tennessee State. It's another great classic HBCU game, HBCU rivalry, and it's great to see that it's going to be broadcast and put on a national stage, and it's getting national recognition, by the way. But the game is being played in Memphis. Prime is going to a Memphis barbershop. He's going to have dinner or soul food or whatever, either at a Memphis restaurant or he's done it in Jackson. He went to a home of a family. And then he's going to go, him and his staff are going to go to 2 Memphis area high school football games and offer kids on the spot. Who else is doing this in college football? Like, I'll wait. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Who else is doing these kind of things in college football? I don't see it. I do not see it. I've yet to see it. To pull up to a city, not like he's doing this in Jackson or doing this in the city of Mississippi or doing this in the, you know what I mean? Like with Jackson State being in Mississippi, he's doing this in the state of Tennessee, in the city of Memphis, who has some stud athletes, by the way. Like, let's not take away the fact that the city of Memphis has some great, historically and currently has some amazing athletes. He's going to the city of Memphis. He's recruiting the city of Memphis, and he's going to offer a kid on the spot. He's ingratiating himself in a city that is full of black people, ingratiating himself in that city, establishing a recruiting pipeline in that city, and is building great relationships in that city. And guess what? Eddie George will follow suit. If you don't think Eddie George and his staff saw that video and was like, man, we need to do the same thing. We can't let, we actually play in the state of Tennessee. We actually play in the state of Tennessee in Nashville. We need to do the same thing. We cannot allow Deion Sanders and his charm and charisma come and take over one of the major pipeline cities in our state. There's no way. There is absolutely, positively 0% chance Eddie George, his staff, is going to allow Deion Sanders to come in and take over the city of Memphis during a weekend trip for a game. Good morning to you, Mr. Brian Bridges. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. So this is what I mean by this is the future of HBCU football, because what Prime is doing is going to cause the current coaches to step up their game and the future, and it's laying a blueprint for the future coaches that come into some of these programs that will have openings. And some of those future coaches may look more like Eddie George and Deion Sanders. What do I mean by that? Deion Sanders recently did an interview where he talked about how he knows other Pro Football Hall of Famers or pro football like players, former NFLers that want to get into coaching, but they don't want to get into coaching for these Power 5 conferences. They don't want to go be an assistant coach at Minnesota. They don't want to go be an assistant coach at Northwestern. They don't want to go out to UCLA and be, the running backs coach or whatever. They want to come in to a Prairie View, to a Southern, to a Grambling, to a Mississippi Valley, and be the head guy in charge. And not only do they want to come, they want to come and bring their resources. That's why Prime is able to be the way he is, because he has resources. He has people that are willing to bend over hand and foot to help him out, because he made a lot of people a lot of money over a long period of time. And so now it's time for them to pay up. That's the only difference between what Jackson State is doing now than what they have been doing the previous 20 years. Literally the only thing different with Jackson State, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime has been doing over the last year as compared to what Jackson State as a program had done the previous 10 years is the resources. It's literally it. They've gotten new jerseys. They've gotten new helmets. They've gotten a new game field. They've gotten 2 practice fields, but 1 grass, 1 turf. They got the names on the back of their jerseys. The names on the back of no team. I didn't know this. No team in the SWAC had their names on the back of their jerseys, or has their names on the back of their jerseys. The first time a SWAC team seen the name on the back of their jerseys was this past weekend when Jackson State took on FAMU. This is another clip from Deion talking about just something as simple as having the names on the back of their jerseys.
I call them babies because they mad. Turn around, just stand up and turn around. He got his darn name on the back of his jersey.
Oh, my computer wants to be silly. Come on.
You can turn back around. Why we don't do that?
Well,
In the SWAC.
there we go.
Is it that expensive to put the darn name on the back of the jerseys? Don't you think his mama and them want to see their baby name on the back of the jerseys? Don't you think his siblings, his friends, his family, his loved ones? That's the kind of stuff we take for granted. I don't. I'm very detailed. That guy worked his butt off, did what he had to do, changed his whole composite of his thought process. We can at least put his darn name on the back of his jersey. How simple is that? What is that, an extra $5 a jersey? I'd take care for the whole SWAC if they do it. Constance will help. You already out there. You already blessed the whole team with suits. It's my business manager who makes it happen for me and him. But those are the type of things. We're very detailed. We're very detailed with the little things. And our kids deserve that, don't they?
So, something as simple as the names on the back of the jersey. What he's doing, man, what he's doing is amazing. And what's going to be so cool about this matchup, the Southern Heritage Classic, Tennessee State versus Jackson State, is that Eddie George is going to do the same thing at Tennessee State. It just takes time. The thing about Prime, he has the advantage over Eddie, is that the fact that he had that spring season, and during that spring season, he was able to do what? Evaluate. He was able to evaluate. In the offseason, he was able to recruit. Eddie hasn't had that chance yet. So this is his evaluation period. It's going to be rough. They're going to take some lumps. I'm looking at Tennessee State's schedule. By the way, Tennessee State comes into the game 0-1. They played 3 quarterbacks last week against Grambling. 3 quarterbacks, none of them, and they only combined to have just barely 100 yards. They had 119 yards passing. The best one went 8 for 10 for 65 yards. The worst one went 4 for 12 for 22 yards. That's the thing. They don't have a quarterback right now. And they're going to take some lumps. They play Jackson State this week. They play SEMO, who's normally pretty good. Austin Peay, who normally keeps a solid team. Eastern Illinois, who's produced guys like some NFL guys, Murray State, who's ranked in the top 25 a lot. So, and then they finished the season against Mississippi State, an SEC team. So they're going to take some lumps this year. Like they do not have an easy schedule. But this is an evaluation period for Eddie George. It's an evaluation period to see who will be on the team next fall. And then he'll take the information that he garners from this Jackson State team, from this Tennessee State team, and look across. What's going to be so cool is because he's going to be able to look across the field at Jackson State and look on the field at Jackson State and be like, this is what our team's going to look like. These are the kind of athletes I have to bring into my program. This is what I have to do if I want to be successful, not only at this level, but to be successful and be a successful head coach at Tennessee State. Because Jackson State's got some ballers. I mean, Deion Sanders literally revamped that entire roster. His quarterback he's got the quarterback. His son just happened to be a great quarterback. So he brought in the quarterback. It just happened to be his son. He brought in great defensive players like that guy you saw, Aubrey Miller, Niles Gaddy, his other son, Shiloh Sanders, who's back there giving folks the blues. CEO of Headache Gang. Like literally out there smashing dudes on the field. And Eddie's going to look at that. And Tennessee State might get beat up pretty bad this weekend. I think they'll be competitive because, they're not just going to go out there and quit. But they're going to be competitive. But they might get beat up on. And they're going to look across and their coaching staff and even their players. And they're going to be like, that's what we're going to look like in the future. We're going to look more like them than what we look like now by next fall. But it's going to take some time. And Eddie, luckily for him, and same with Deion, that they are coaching for teams in the South. They're coaching for HBCUs. And the beauty and what's so beautiful about coaching for an HBCU is that HBCUs are schools in the South, typically, right? Where's the best college football talent? In the South. The best talent ain't in New York. The best talent, really, there's some good talent out in California, but it's not out West Coast. It's in Florida. It's in Georgia. It's in Louisiana. It's in Texas. It's in Tennessee. And because Eddie George coaches at a school in Tennessee and Deion Sanders coaches at a school in Mississippi, they have prime access to some of the elite talent in the country. And that's going to work in their favor. Not to mention that it's an HBCU and you can provoke change at said HBCU. See, Deion Sanders came to Jackson State and said he was called by God. And for a long time, I was like, that's kind of a bold statement, Deion. Say you called by God to be here and called by God to provoke change and called by God? Like, why wasn't any of the other HBCU coaches called by God to do these change? And the more and more I see his program, the more and more I read and the more and more I listen to him speak and watch the interviews and watch the development of his kids on the field, and the more and more that he does things like that social media post that I'll run once again about how he's going to go recruit the city of Memphis, the more and more I believe him. The more and more I believe him. Literally, there's no other head coach in college football doing this right here.
Coach Prime, about to have a great day of practice. Then we get on the road. We headed to Memphis. I need three things from you. First of all, I need a cut. I need somebody that's going to direct me to the right place in Memphis to get me a cut. I need some soul food that kind of makes me sleepy, not weepy. And I need to know where the dog's at tonight. No, not tonight. Tomorrow night. I need to know where the dog's at tomorrow night because I'm going to go recruit and watch some good high school football. And I'm offering at least 2-3 kids scholarships on the spot. If you ball, you're going to get the call on the spot. That's how we get down, baby. I love JSU.
There's no other coach doing that. And I believe Eddie is going to do similar things because Eddie can't let Deion come to the state of Tennessee and upstage him. Come to the state of Tennessee and take his recruits. Come to the state of Tennessee. Come to the city of Memphis, which is a prime city with premier athletes coming out of the city of Memphis, and take his recruits and take those top players. So those are my thoughts. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe on your way out. And you can follow me on Twitter at JLightsy7. I post all of my content right there on Twitter. And also for those of you on Facebook, Jeff Lightsy Sports on Facebook. I post all my content there. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.